Hello everybody, it's Dancing News here, and today we've gotten a lot of updates today. And the first news we'll be talking about today is coming from the Russian Federation. So if you remembered in yesterday's video, we talked about how Russia and Ukrainian delegations all met in Istanbul for the key reason of a ceasefire in Ukraine. So Russia and Ukraine sat down yesterday at the negotiating table for the first time since 2022, and a lot of key statements came out of the delegation talks. We went over it yesterday, but we'll go over it again. The key notes that were made in the delegation meeting between Ukraine and Russia is that there was a huge prisoner exchange. So the parties of Ukraine and Russia discussed a potential 1,000 for 1,000 prisoner swap. Ukraine requested a meeting of heads of state for Zelensky and Putin, and according to the Russian side, Russia took note of this. Both sides agreed to develop and exchange detailed ceasefire proposals in upcoming discussions, and Russia expressed willingness to maintain negotiating channels, with talks now concluded for this round. So apparently, according to the Ukrainian sources, Russia did have some demands in the meeting of the negotiations. So one of the demands is that a neutral Ukraine. So the Russian delegation demanded that in order for a ceasefire and a peace agreement in Ukraine, no foreign troops on Ukrainian soil, similar to Austria's neutrality model, no reparations. So Russia or Ukraine won't have to pay any reparations of any claims for the war damages. Rights to Russian speakers. So Russia demanded that Ukraine must adopt European standards for minority rights and end, I quote, nationalist propaganda. Recognition of territories. Ukraine must not deny Russia's constitutional claim over 5 Ukrainian regions, and that's Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporozhye, and obviously the Crimea regions, and internationally recognize them. So, so Russia is now calling for Ukraine to recognize Russia's gains in Ukraine. And the last one is that in order for an immediate ceasefire condition, Ukrainian forces must withdraw from all 5 Russian claimed regions. So the key demand is that Russian delegations demanded that Ukrainian forces must withdraw back to this line. So I'll quickly just highlight it here. So Russia is demanding that the Ukrainians should withdraw all from all of the oblasts that Russia has gone into. So that's Kherson, Zaporozhye, Donetsk, and a bit of the Luhansk regions. So very interesting news. According to the Ukrainian Defense Minister Umerov, that was present and actually negotiating with the Russians in the Istanbul negotiations that happened yesterday, he confirmed that both sides, Ukraine and Russia, agreed to a 1,000 for 1,000 prisoner exchange, and ceasefire terms were discussed. Umerov stated that we continue working, confirming earlier remarks by Medensky, the Russian head of the delegation in Istanbul, and the Turkish foreign minister, that a new round of talks is being prepared. So a new round of talks between Russian and Ukrainian delegations are in the works right now, and most likely it will be done in Istanbul as well. And furthermore, with that, we've also gotten some news today that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin will be having a telephone conversation tomorrow morning on Monday, or today, depending on your time zone. But we've got news today that according to Donald J. Trump's latest post on Truth Social, he says that he will be calling Putin on Monday morning. So Donald Trump, in a post on Truth Social, stated that I'll be speaking by telephone to President Vladimir Putin of Russia on Monday at 10 a.m. The subject of the call will be stopping the bloodbath that is killing on average more than 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers a week, and trade. I will then, according to Donald Trump, after speaking with Vladimir Putin, I will be speaking to President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, and then after Zelensky with various members of NATO, and according to Donald Trump, hopefully it will be a productive day, and a ceasefire will take place. So very big and interesting news. And this later was confirmed by the Kremlin. So the Kremlin stated that a telephone conversation between Putin and Trump will take place on May the 19th. So this was confirmed by the Russian side as well. And furthermore, while the head of state of Russia and the United States prepare for a phone conversation on Monday, Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of America, held their very own phone conversation that happened today, the Russian Foreign Ministry reported. According to the Kremlin, so the Russian side, the talks were initiated by the American side. The two officials, the Russian Foreign Minister and the Secretary of State of America, discussed the continuation of Russian and American diplomatic contacts. The Russian Foreign Minister noted America's positive role in Kiev, agreeing to Putin's proposal to resume the Istanbul peace talks. Rubio welcomed the agreements of the prisoner exchanges, and both sides drafting their own terms for a ceasefire, and the Russian Foreign Minister reaffirmed Moscow's willingness to continue working with Washington on resolving the Ukrainian conflict. So that's all the news we've gotten from the Marco Rubio and Sergei Lavrov telephone conversation. We've also gotten some breaking news today that Putin orders the Arctic development strategy by 2035. So, Vladimir Putin has just directed the government to submit a long-term Arctic development plan by July the 1st. The key initiatives of this new Russian Arctic development strategy plan is creating an Arctic investment fund, expanding high-speed internet access in Russia's Arctic, launching satellite systems to monitor the Northern Sea route, developing Arctic tourism cluster and infrastructure, establishing a youth grant program, extending affordable housing in the Arctic regions, building small ice-class passenger vessels, the reconstructing of Vorkuta airport by 2030, and developing the transatlantic transport corridor model, and launching the Volkhov-Murmansk gas pipeline by 2030. He also ordered the construction of 2 nuclear icebreakers to begin by 2026. So, very interesting news. So, one thing is for certain, the race for the Arctic is on. And furthermore, the next news we've got today is coming from Denmark, where we've got news that Denmark repeals the 1985 ban on nuclear energy. So the vote came and went in a matter of moments. So it was 71 representatives for and 34 against. So nuclear will now be explored by the Danish state with the repeal of the 1985 ban on nuclear energy. And I'll keep you updated on that if there's any more news on that. And furthermore, the next news we want today is coming from the developments coming out of the Vatican. So we've just gotten some news today that Pope Leo XIV has officially, I guess, taken office, as in he has officially now became the Pope. So Pope Leo XIV has officially taken the position of Pope. In his inauguration, I guess you could say, there was many head of states, including European ones, that attended the ceremony, and even US Vice President J.D. Vance attended the Pope inauguration, along with President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, where Zelensky actually met with the US Vice President J.D. Vance for the first time since the White House scandal, so it was a bit of some tensions there. But after the inauguration of the Pope, J.D. Vance and Volodymyr Zelensky held an hour meeting behind doors, where I'm just guessing that they patched up things between each other. But to get back to the Pope, Pope Leo XIV was officially took office, and in his speech, I guess, inauguration speech. The Pope praised Russian and Ukrainian Istanbul talks. He stated that in Ukraine, finally there are negotiations to try to ensure a just peace, but while in Gaza, people who survive are reduced to famine. So, very interesting news. And after not Pope Francis, after Pope Leo finished his inauguration speech, he actually met behind doors with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, after his inauguration speech. According to Zelensky, we thank the Vatican for its readiness to become a platform for direct negotiations between Ukraine and Russia, and we are ready for dialogue in any format for the sake of real results. And after Zelensky and the Pope finished their behind doors meeting, Zelensky made some comments to reporters after the meeting, and apparently, according to Zelensky, he thanked the Vatican for its readiness to become a platform for direct negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. And furthermore, the next news we've got today is coming from Israel, which is probably the biggest news we've gotten today. So we've just gotten some news that Operation Gideon's Chariots has just been announced. So the Israeli forces have just launched a full-scale assault on Gaza by land, sea and air in the operation which the Israel Defense Forces called Operation Gideon's Chariot. So a couple of days ago, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, announced in a couple of days the Israeli army will enter Gaza in full force in order to get the hostages and end the war militarily. So in the last hours, there's been heavy airstrikes, and artillery across northern and central Gaza. IDF, so Israeli Defense Forces columns, are entering northern Gaza rapidly, and there's heavy bombardment of the coast of Gaza as well. Helicopters have been reported over Khan Yunis, this major Gazan city here, and there's been huge scale battles and clashes in Gaza. So unlike past campaigns, Israel plans to retain control of captured territory. So the Israeli forces are now staying, so they are now capturing territory. They're going to be holding it, capturing, and moving on to the next city. The stated goals of the Operation Gideon's Chariots, which is a full-scale assault on Gaza, is the defeat of Hamas, secure and release of 59 hostages. So that is very breaking news we've gotten today. And furthermore, we've also got news that while Israel launches its full-scale operation in Gaza, the Yemeni Houthis in northern Yemen have launched missiles and fired it in Israel. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, the IDF says that it intercepted a missile fired from Yemen. Videos have appeared on social media showing Israeli air defense working over Tel Aviv, the Israeli city here. And according to senior Houthi officials in northern Yemen, according to their post on X, as long as the attacks and the siege of Gaza continues, you will have no rest, and you will not find peace, and death will pursue you to your shelters. So the Yemeni Houthis have vowed to continue the bombings and the missile strikes on Israel until Israel ends its operation in Gaza. And furthermore, we've also got some more news coming from Yemen that the United Kingdom braces for Houthi attacks as it enters the narrow strait here. So the United Kingdom's flagship, the HMS Prince of Wales of the Royal Navy, is now sailing through the narrow strait here that borders Yemen and Djibouti and Eritrea. So the HMS Prince of Wales of the Royal Navy warns that if the Yemeni Houthis attack the ship, the aircraft carrier will respond very harshly to the Yemeni Houthis. So the United Kingdom's HMS Prince of Wales might come into it might come into fire. It may be in the next hours, and I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got some news today that the 34th Arab Summit has just kicked off in Baghdad, Iraq. So the 34th Arab League Summit commenced in Baghdad on May the 17th, 2025, marking Iraq's first hosting of the event since 2012. The summit convened leaders from across the Arab world, as well as international dignitaries, to address pressing issues and key outcomes. So, Arab leaders called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and pledged over $40 million for reconstruction efforts in Gaza and Lebanon. The summit emphasized the importance of delivering humanitarian aid without conditions and condemned any forces displaced of Palestinians. The summit also expressed support for Syria's unity and endorsed plans to lift international sanctions. The Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara did not actually attend the 34th Arab League Summit due to controversy over his invitation. But the Syrian delegation was led by the Syrian Foreign Minister. Iraq's role in regional security. Iraq unveiled several initiatives to bolster Arab coordination on national security, including the establishment of centers for the counter-terrorism and combating drug trafficking and addressing organized international crimes, all headquarters in Baghdad. Economic cooperation. Iraq proposed the formation of the Arab Ministers' Council to coordinate on trade matters and urged other Arab countries to join the Iraq Development Road Project, aiming to enhance regional economic integration. International participation. The Spanish Prime Minister was the only leader present alongside the UN Secretary General and representatives of the European Union and African Union and Gulf Cooperation Council. And furthermore, the next news we want today is coming from Iran and Azerbaijan. So we've gotten some news today that Iran and Azerbaijan launched joint military drills in the Karabakh region. This region right here, I believe, in this little region where Azerbaijan controls. So the kicking off of military exercises happened today and will run to May the 31st. So Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps and Azerbaijan Special Forces have commenced a joint military exercise in the Nagorno-Karabakh region, highlighting a rare act of bilateral defense cooperation amid ongoing regional peace efforts. So a joint military exercise between the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the ground forces of Iran and Azerbaijan's special forces began on Sunday in a move of both nations described as aims at enhancing border security and deterring potential regional threats. So Iran and Azerbaijan launched military exercises in the Karabakh region here of Azerbaijan. And the last news we want today is coming from Brooklyn Bridge in New York, where we've just got some news today that a Mexican tall ship slams into the Brooklyn Bridge. So the incident occurred while the boat, carrying 277 crew members, was making a festive visit to New York City, the New York Post reports. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, a Mexican, it seems like a sailboat, tried to sail underneath the Brooklyn Bridge here, but it was obviously it was too tall. There's been a lot of critical injuries on people. There's been no reports of deaths as I am speaking right now. Maybe when the time this video comes out, there's some reports on the damage. But that's all the news I actually have for you today. And that is all the news I actually have for you today. I am non-scene news. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. If you want to support me personally, please consider donating in the link in the description below in the PayPal link, or joining a member of the channel. And if you want to get news that I don't have time to fit in these videos, or just simply cannot show on YouTube, consider joining in the Telegram link in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.